This video on Fanatics Collect is absolutely not sponsored, and everything in this video are my own opinions from personal experience. If you're a hater, please leave now, or otherwise, cue the intro. What's up guys, Cowboys here, back in another video where we talk cards, money, investing, and this is a follow-up from my last video where I talk about my shutting down my eBay store. And as you can see from the thumbnail, it's about Fanatics Collect now. The irony with Fanatics Collect is this: I've been working with these guys for many years, I think at least since the pandemic years, okay? And if you guys follow my channel, I do have a bit of a love-hate relationship with these guys, and twice I was kind of screwed over. So in today's video, I'm going to talk a bit about some history I have with these guys and why I'm transitioning to being exclusive on Fanatics Collect. Okay, so let's dive in a bit of history here, right? Fanatics Collect was previously known as PWCC. I think this is a brand name that a lot of you guys are familiar, and perhaps for not the right reasons, okay? So PWCC is based out of Oregon in Tigard, right? And they were one of the first to introduce the vault system where you could actually store cards with them, vaulted. You know, at that point in time, I can't remember whether there was a fee or not, but you could list cards on eBay through their platform. Okay, so this is one of the new things that was introduced into the market, and you would say that it was kind of hot and cold, right? There were some people who love it, some people didn't really like it, because a lot of people back then, had a bit skeptical on keeping cards for third party. You can say that it's insured, secured, and all these kind of things, but nothing beats having a card in your hand. But of course, then you hear stories about cards being stolen, broke into your house, flood, fire, and all those kind of things. So vault is kind of like one of the options, but then again, people still opt to put into their own personal safe deposit box and things like that. So nothing wrong with that, but the business model for PWCC back then revolves around you storing cards with them, and then you get to maintain a digital portfolio of these cards and able to transact these cards on eBay, which was a thing that was quite intrigued to me, because as you guys know, I'm based out of Malaysia, right? So the one big hurdle that I had was to actually have cards to be sent to my customers in the US, number one, on time, and number two, at a reasonable shipping cost. Now, obviously, when I'm trying to send cards from halfway around the world, shipping is going to be expensive and takes a lot of time unless I'm using some sort of courier service like FedEx or DHL, but of course the costs on these are pretty expensive. So the vault actually offered kind of a solution for me, whereby I was able to have cards shipped over to the vault, and then either I sell on eBay using PWCC back then, or I could actually sell through my own eBay store, and of which I could then arrange for fulfillment from the vault to my customers in the US. And of course there'll be a fee involved, but whatever fees, fulfillment and shipping is definitely much lower than having the card shipped directly from Malaysia. And of course the speed, right? Even though you factor in fulfillment times, time for the card to be taken out from the vault, have it shipped by USPS is definitely much faster than the 10 or so days to be shipped from Malaysia. So this all sounds great, right? So what happened? So during, I believe, August of 2021, I think, or was it 2022, okay, PWCC got kicked out of eBay, okay, for reasons saying that it's been shielded. Now, I did a video on this, okay, and I did think that, eBay did them dirty, but of course, we later found out that there was another story behind this. But at that point in time, whoever actually had cards on the PWCC platform was unable to sell the cards through eBay. And at that point in time, unlike today, PWCC didn't have an online marketplace. It didn't have auctions, right? They had some fixed price listings, but nobody actually ever buys cards from PWCC fixed price. Everybody's using the listing on eBay function. So when that was taken away, that created a huge problem, okay? Now, for me especially, right, whereby my business revolves around listing cars on eBay, and when you have that thing taken away, my cars are essentially stuck, no way to move. So in just like a couple of weeks notice, okay, I had to evacuate all my cars from the vault back to Malaysia. And as you can imagine, it's expensive. There was a number of slabs, I can't remember how many, maybe it was like what, 50, 60 slabs in total, okay, and it was an expensive endeavor. And during that period, as the cars were being shipped back home, I couldn't do any business, as you can tell, right? Because I didn't have holding of any of my cars, and I couldn't actually do anything for that couple of weeks until once they're back, and then I could list. And that's when the time, I think September, October rolled in that particular year, and they announced that they were going to come up with their own marketplace. But of course, being brand new marketplace, I kind of like lost confidence already at that point in time. So therefore, I just went along on selling the cars through my own account, eBay account, and selling cars direct from Malaysia, charging $15 of shipping, which was pretty expensive. And at that point in time, definitely my sales actually dropped out. Bear in mind, during that period, right, this is post-pandemic, year 2021, 2022, I wasn't doing cars full-time, I still had my full-time job. This was just basically a hobby. And whether or not I sold some of these cards, I wouldn't say it didn't really matter to me, because I didn't really buy those cards for meant to resell, grade and sell, and so on and so forth. So having those inventory stuck there, as you can tell, certain players doesn't do so well. I remember being stuck with some players such as Jonathan Isaac, right? This was one of the few players that I can remember clearly. So these were one of the guys that actually during the transition period that I was stuck, and eventually I couldn't actually sell these guys and recoup my costs. I lost quite a fair bit of money on this particular whole transaction. But a couple of months after that, once the vault started to, as in PWCC vault started to come and running, the marketplace was gaining a lot of traction, they kind of reached out to all their previous customers, me inclusive. So PWCC came back to me and said, hey, could you would you be interested in sending your cars back to the vault? They understood what I was doing previously, and they understood that being kicked on eBay was a huge disruption, and I wouldn't say promised, but they wanted to make their marketplace a huge thing, and they wanted me to be a part of it, right? And I thought long and hard, and I do realize that my business has been kind of decreasing, and I realized that there is definitely more benefit of having to go back to my original setup as opposed to selling cars from here. So what I did was, instead of having to evacuate all the cars that I had in Malaysia again back to the vault, which just seemed extremely silly, and spending all that kind of cost again, new stuff that I acquired, since that conversation with PWCC would send direct to the vault, and I did experiment on their service, and true enough, things started to pick up well. I could still list on eBay because the fulfillment service was still doing all right, and slowly, and as time went by, I had more and more things back to the vault and going back to the original setup. And this was all doing well, I believe, until early 2023, when the next big announcement came, where Fanatics was going to acquire them. Now, in this news, can be viewed, in fact, positive, right? That they were going to acquire. But the problem was, Fanatics coming in, they wanted to streamline the business a little, and that started off with a bunch of layoffs within PWCC itself, and that was a bit alarming. And while it didn't directly, have any impact on me, but it did impact the business that was running, in the sense that the fulfillment side of PWCC became to a snail pace, meaning that certain cars that were supposed to be shipped out within 3 business days, for example, became 10 business days, and that created a lot of problem with me, because as an eBay seller, I actually had to maintain certain seller standards to have handling times of 3 days, and to keep that kind of strong performance on my eBay store. But having fulfillment to be really dragged on really slow, that was a huge issue for me. And for the second time, I decided to, I had enough, evacuate all my cars once again from PWCC back home, because I couldn't run a business, right, with 10 days of handling fee. And having a location in the US. Customers just did not understand. Whereas if I was from Malaysia, I ship it out and it took 10 days or 14 days, that's fine, because being an international customer. So that was kind of like the second time that I was kind of like screwed over, okay, by PWCC, or in this case called Fanatics. Okay, so we've gone all that long history there. So what happened after that? Okay, so as you can tell, back here again, I'm back to square one. Business again not doing so well in 2023, but I already had made plans to become a full-time selling sports cars in year 2024, this year. Okay, so when we were in around September of 2023, okay, once again Fanatics reached out to me and says, hey, I noticed that you took all your stuff and I want you back in again. It's like a bad breakup coming back again, right? But this time around, they mentioned that they're going to have a bunch of new initiatives, such as a dealer program. They're going to really make the Fanatics marketplace really robust, and then they're going to offer great fees, seller fees and things like that, and basically set out the right things again. So call me foolish, call me gullible, call me whatever, but here we go again, third time to Fanatics Collect. Okay, and this time when I actually went to the Asia Sports Car Convention in Macau in December of last year, 2023, I actually met up with some guys from PWCC and I actually explained all the stories once again, but they echoed the same story that I was given through one of my relationship managers with Fanatics Collect, and said that they are looking to do big things in 2024 and the future. And I was kind of sold on that, and but of course I was still going into full-time reselling on sports cars. I needed to make sure that I was actually tapping into as many markets as possible. So I didn't really completely cut off my eBay revenue, which you can tell from my last video, right? You can see the graphs that I shared, whereby my eBay revenue is doing pretty all right. But slowly, from at least the middle of this year, 2024, I actually, slowly turned the tap down a bit and moved towards Fanatics Collect. And there were a couple of reasons. Now, the first reason is basically the introduction of the dealer program. Now, if you don't know much about this dealer program, do check out our website, and they have a little link at the bottom to talk about dealer program. But essentially what I mean is they wanted to reward people a loyalty for you to sell exclusively, or not in fact exclusive, to sell more on the Fanatics Collect website. And they have a tier system whereby they call it Min Plus, Gem, Min, and Platinum, right? Depending on the sales volume, they offer a different kind of tier for the seller fees. Now, if you look at this particular tier, the Gem Min tier, which is the tier I'm on right now, which means it shows that you got to do about 125k of quarterly revenue, which is not easy, but definitely achievable. But they highlight this particular line right here, okay? That's when it talks about the seller fees for anything above $200, to be, not the seller fees, but in this case, how much you get, to be 112.5%. Now, what does that mean? 112.5%. That means that when a hammer price or the closing price is $100, they charge a buyer's premium of 20%. So a customer has to pay 120. But out of this 120, what it means that you, right, or in this case me, I will get 112.5. And if you talk about percentage, right, that forms less than 10% of seller fees. That beats eBay out of the water. Now, eBay, depending on the tier as well, they don't have a tier for cumulative sales. They do reduce the seller fees for high value items. So if you're selling something that's above $2,500 for sports cars specifically, right, then the commission rates are no longer 16%. It actually drops down to maybe like 12, 13. And if you sell something that's like $9,000, it goes down to be about like 7. Okay, but in this case, you're talking about anything above $200, right? Which is not a big number, but of course you got to maintain consistent sales, and that's exactly what Fanatics Collect want you to do, right? To keep on selling on the platform. And if you move on to the next tier, when you look at the platinum tier, is $400,000 a quarter. Now, that's not likely achievable for a person like myself, one-man show. But if you look at some of the bigger auction accounts that was previously on eBay, Wolf Sports, you see Acquirer, and now you see Burbank coming in as well. So these are some of the big guys that enter the market and taking advantage of the cheaper seller fees or the higher payout rates compared to eBay. Okay, so in the past, it's kind of like a little chicken and egg game, right? So you bring a marketplace, right? You want people to sell, or you want people to buy, to come and buy, but you need to have people to sell good stuff on this. And in order to get people to sell, you got actually to offer competitive rates. This is exactly what Fanatics Collect have been doing. And using myself as an example, right? I've been on the eBay side, I've been on the Fanatics Collect side. I've been through the highs and lows of both, so I can experience. And now that looking at the whole situation, and given that some of the issues that I pointed out with eBay that I had previously, Fanatics Collect seemed to be like the way to go going forward. But that's just basically me as a seller, right? What does that mean to you as a buyer or as a collector? Okay, basically, if you notice, you should hop onto Fanatics Collect platform recently, and perhaps if you're on social media, look at some of the stuff that's being posted. The quality of the inventory has significantly gone up. Okay, lots and lots of strong cards now. Of course, there are other platforms that are offering good cards as well, all Goldin, but Fanatics Collect are definitely upping the game, right? And because you're offering high quality cards, high quality stuff, that people don't normally find on eBay, you draw a lot of attention towards that marketplace. And I think that's what Fanatics Collect has been doing very well, getting these big guys here, putting good stuff and drawing all the crowd in. Okay, and as a seller as well, because of the number of people being drawn into the system, you want to keep on putting more stuff, because not everybody's just chasing the next high-end card, the 10K card or 20K card. There are people who still purchase on the lower end side, and in fact, right, there is incentive as a buyer to actually buy on the platform, right? There's no sales tax, there's no shipping, everything gets to your vault, you could resell again later, you could actually fulfill back home. Everything is within your fingertips on this. So it's to me, I wouldn't call this a game changer, but this is definitely the central of where I think that sports cards commerce should be, right? eBay is great. eBay is a huge marketplace, right? If you have a couple of things you want to sell, you want to just put it up, use some of the templates, is fine. But if talking about sports cards as a sophisticated market, okay, where the hobby is going in the future, something like Fanatics Collect, I wouldn't say exclusive to Fanatics Collect, there are other marketplaces, they are up and coming. All is definitely making a big runs, but because I have a relationship with all as well, I have a relationship with Goldin as well, but because I've seen the ups and downs, I wrote ups and downs with Fanatics Collect, and I see that this is the way going forward for collectors, investors, flippers, right, to go. Yes, I do understand that there are other platforms as well that's being used, that serves a different market, the breaking market, whatnot. Those are different, okay? But you're talking for buy, sell, invest, flip, all right? I believe that the way to go going forward would be platforms like Fanatics Collect. And you guys are probably thinking, right, I've been like just mentioning the names so and so forth, I'm kind of like promoting, I'm kind of like working, which is the big disclaimer that I mentioned earlier, right? This video is absolutely not sponsored by these guys. I'm just feeling that sharing you guys my opinions, and this is exactly where I think that the hobby is in a good spot right now, okay? Logistically wise, it's very efficient for me, and I think that based on their fee structure, they're doing a lot of good things, right? The service is, I wouldn't say top notch, but great, okay? Absolutely happy, and I do advocate for some of you guys to give it a try. Seriously, give it a try, okay? It's no joke for me that I think this is going to be close as game over, okay, versus eBay on the place that you would need to sell cards. Like, I think that the future is most people may not actually sell the best stuff on eBay anymore. It's going to be one of these big places, one of these marketplaces such as All or Goldin or Fanatics Collect. All right, that's all I got for this one, right? I'm just remembering about this one, and I just want to share with you guys my experiences, so it's not just I'm selling that, they're all doing all the good stuff. I've been through all the tough times with them, but after so many years, right, 3 or 4 years with these guys, I'm finally settling in, and I'm pretty happy to look forward working with these guys, and hoping that you guys, offering just a piece, just a little slice of insight on how these things work and how it may be advantageous for you going forward. All right, thanks for watching, guys. Till next one, do subscribe to this channel. See you guys soon. God bless.